All right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the latest news in the crypto space, and there's a lot of stuff that's happened over the last week or so I wanted to get into it. So the first thing, so again, the pipeline that was hacked, um, the company paid the people that hacked them out in Bitcoin, which again is really stupid. And this morning, or I think it was last night actually, but anyway, actually, yeah, it was yesterday. The government didn't hack a Bitcoin wallet; they hacked the custodial server at the end, and this has caused Bitcoin to go down a pretty good amount over the last day or so. In that, again, like, right, and this is the problem too, is that this whole situation is starting to look really fishy. In that, how can this group or whoever it is, successfully hack a pipeline that probably isn't, I mean, it's probably not the hardest thing in the world, but it's probably not very easy, but not get their Bitcoin payments in a way that the government can't take it, basically, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So, um, and I mean, they also say in the next comment, they probably didn't even do that. It's probably all made up. That wouldn't surprise me either. That definitely wouldn't surprise me. But again, like, why would you do that? Like they probably like did they leave it on an exchange? This doesn't make any sense, right? Then again, how can you be so sophisticated to successfully hack the pipeline but not find out a way so that the government can't just take your Bitcoin? Like it's not that complicated. Like I said, this is just doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Um, But again, this is still causing it to go down, which is at the end of the world too, right? It's not the end of the world because it just gives a good buying opportunity. And the other reason too is that when it comes to the latest, it's been about a month or so, it's been down quite a bit. Well, there's nothing real fundamental that has changed. Like you have this stuff, which is complete garbage, and you have Elon Musk and Tesla going, well, not going after it, but trashing it to a degree. Like none of that changes anything in my mind. Like none of it. And getting to the other news here, um, Michael Saylor. Personally, I'd rather have Bitcoin than a bond," said Ray Dalio. Welcome to the team, Ray. We agree. So Ray Dalio is one of the he may even be the best performing fund managers in history. And now he is at least allocating at least some of his portfolio towards Bitcoin. Um, from Gabor Gerbach saying 1 year ago Bitcoin was under 10,000. So again, all these people panicking, oh, Bitcoin, I think it's like 30, a little over 30,000. I mean, at the time I'm making it's, a little over 30,000 US. Again, it's still tripled over the last year. Like, if someone would have told you that a year ago, who in the right mind wouldn't have wanted to buy some, right? Buy more than at least they had at the time. So, although it's not whatever it peaked at, 60, 65,000 US, yeah, that would be a lot nicer than where it is now, but it's still very well performing, right? It's still very well. So um, I think people, not to mention too, a lot of people got in at the exact, I mean, a lot of newbies, me included, at least to some degree, people got in like the exact right time. Like they started buying in, October, November, December as it was going up into January, and it went up. I mean, it had a couple small corrections, but it went up pretty well steady for about 5 6 months, and people were buying in, and they thought that that's how it's always going to work, right? But that's not how it always works, right? You're going to have these 50% corrections, right? I mean, it happens all the time, right? Anyone who's been in Bitcoin for a long time, or even the crypto state, you know this happens all the time, right? And the other interesting thing I was listening to, yes, not yesterday, but the other day, about someone talking about Bitcoin, and that when it comes to Bitcoin and this kind of stuff, you have to think about it in terms of probabilities. People think, oh, it's volatile, I'm not going to invest, or stuff like that. But you have to think about it in probabilities, and that he said, and this is a very good way of putting it, is that even if Bitcoin has a 5% chance of going to 2 million or a 10% chance of going to a million, it is still a very good buy right now. And that's a very interesting way of thinking about it, right? It is still a massive bargain, even if you think that it is a 10% chance of going to a million, right? And personally, I think it's probably a little over 50, right? Um, so I think it's a screaming deal, right? Again, personally, that's what I believe. You got to do your own research, obviously, but personally, I think it's a screaming deal. And then again, the other big news was the Bitcoin conference in Miami. And again, there's a lot of people criticizing it too, which is something I really can't stand about the crypto space. And I think that's something that's holding the crypto space back is that you have you have multiple groups. You have the Bitcoin group, you have the altcoin group, and then you have the group that kind of like me that's like, yeah, there's obviously going to be multiple ones. But the thing I can't stand about the altcoin group and the people that hate on Bitcoin is that it's very obvious that if Bitcoin doesn't go up, altcoins aren't going up. Like, I mean, you look at today, right? Look at today. Pretty well all the major altcoins are down, same as Bitcoin. So these people that say, "Oh, Bitcoin's going to zero," and this coin or this other coin, oh, it's going to skyrocket. Like, data we have right now doesn't show that, right? And I am a fan of some altcoins, right? I like the privacy coins. Those are probably my second and third favorites, but I think the data very clearly shows that if Bitcoin doesn't go up in the long run, other coins aren't going to either. There may be some outliers, but again, predicting those outliers is going to be very hard. And not to mention, too, they may even be more volatile than Bitcoin is, which is a lot of the altcoins are more volatile. So, but anyway, the when it comes to the Bitcoin conference, and the other thing too is I don't think they're expecting it to be that big, right? That's probably what happened is that they expected X number of people and double as many people showed up. Like that's probably what happened, right? And it's like I said too that people, and this is the other thing too that I wanted to bring up too is that the people that trash Bitcoin, like, did they not understand we haven't won the battle yet? Like a lot of people say, oh well, the goal of cryptos is to have a peer-to-peer, form of money, which obviously I agree with. But what the other big goal too was to dethrone the traditional banking system, which is something they haven't done yet, right? And that's the other thing I don't understand is that, okay, Bitcoin may not be the best, when it comes to transaction costs. Okay, well, why not have multi? Why not? Because Bitcoin, I still think is the ultimate store of wealth. Um, but why not? Okay, you have Bitcoin as a store of wealth, store of value, and you have other coins, whether it's one, whether it's multiple other ones, as your day-to-day way to transact. Why can't that be how it's going to work? And it's like I bring up too that if you're someone who's on the outside looking in of the crypto space and you see Bitcoin go down, the chances of you getting into the crypto space just went down. So, and this is the way that the privacy coins are gonna and these other coins are gonna grow, is that you get people into the space, you start them out with Bitcoin, and you branch them out to the other ones. I just don't really, I know why these people have these motives, right? I think, and that they're just very, very, very idealistic. The problem, like I said, is that the battle still hasn't been won. And if you want the space to continue to grow, you got to get new people in, right? So, but again, um, the big news is El Salvador is going to make Bitcoin legal tender, which is awesome, right? That's so awesome. There's some other countries thinking about doing it as well, I heard. Um, and again, the last thing from Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, blockchain is a booming industry that Texas needs to be involved in. I just signed a law for Texas to create a master plan for expanding the blockchain industry in Texas. And I think that would be a massive boom to Texas. And, you know, Texas is looking like it's going to be the next boom state. It wouldn't surprise me if, a generation or two from now, Texas, the GDP of Texas is higher than California. Like it really wouldn't surprise me. Like the minute that I mean, they already have a growing tech scene there. If they get like a Hollywood equivalent or even anything even close to that, I think that they're just gonna boom. Like, but the one very concerning thing is the amount of immigrants that are moving in. And again, um, not that all immigration is bad. Again, people always twist your words on that. But what I mean by that is that you have a Democrat in the White House right now. You have a Democrat running a lot of these states, and the Democrats believe in open borders. And what happens when you have open borders? Well, it's not the best people that are coming, right? Because if it was the best people that were coming, they would do it legally, right? When you have open borders, it's not the kind of people you want coming in, right? It's not the kind of people you want coming in. And Texas is obviously right along the border, which is going to obviously play into that. So that's the one thing that does concern me. The other big thing too is that a lot of these lefties move there as well. And then again, um, how many people that live in Los Angeles, San Francisco, et cetera, that are seeing these cities slowly collapse are going to be like, yeah, well, let's just move to Austin, right, or wherever, Dallas or Houston. A lot of those people are doing that. In fact, I've seen posts of people working at DMV saying, yeah, 20% of people that are signing up for new driver's license or getting new driver's licenses are from California, right? So that's something that does concern me a lot. Um, but I think that that's probably maybe 10, 20 years away. I think that that's going to become a real concern. But if that doesn't become a real concern, I think Texas is going to just boom, like just absolutely boom. Assuming that the feds don't do too much to, regulate them and go after them, assuming mass immigration doesn't kill them, assuming all the Californians moving there doesn't kill them. Those are some big ifs, but if that doesn't happen, it's gonna boom. But again, and the thing I would leave it at here is that again, like look at all these things that I brought up here. Like if someone just reads these stories, like does this scream you should be bearish on Bitcoin? No. So this is why I'm saying, and again, obviously, like I say, do your own research. Again, just my opinion, but um, the reality I think is that what's going on is I think that this is just the perfect time to buy, right? This is just the perfect time to buy because the price has gone down, and the price hasn't gone down for any legitimate reason in my mind, right? This is not a legitimate reason, right? That again, this is one of the myths that comes up all the time. Oh, the government can hack it or whatever. Right? And the government can track the transactions, but there's still ways to kind of get around that. And that's where the privacy coins come in. And that, especially when we get atomic swaps, which I think are already existent at least to some degree, but I don't think for the everyday person, atomic swaps don't exist yet. Um, but once we get atomic swaps, right, then you can just convert your Bitcoin to Pirate Chain or Monero, and boom, you're good to go, right? Government can't track you anymore, right? Now there's problems with Pirate Chain and Monero, but they have the very distinct advantage on Bitcoin in that you can send and receive as you please, and the government can't track it, right? And again, that's why I'm saying I'm a fan of the privacy coins, but I'm also not a fan of put all your money in privacy coins, Bitcoin's going to zero, which some people say. I still think Bitcoin is personally should be the majority of your crypto holdings, probably followed by Pirate Chain or Monero, followed by Ethereum, Cardano. I think there's a handful of other ones that are a little bit intriguing, but I personally I think that there's a very clear top three, it being Bitcoin, Pirate Chain, Monero, right? Personally, that's what I think. I don't see why. I mean, I mean, Ethereum, Cardano had to have a little bit of exposure to the whole NFT, that space. I can understand that, but even if you look at an Ethereum, like their their transaction fees are very high as well. So Ethereum doesn't really have a distinct advantage over Bitcoin aside from the NFT thing, but that's a very competitive space, right? And I think Cardano is probably better than Ethereum when it comes to the, I mean, at least probably at some point will be. But the problem with that is that they're both going towards um, proof of stake, not proof of work, which I don't think is a good idea. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. So we want to be environmentally friendly. But again, that's also another big lie, right? So that's the other big lie about Bitcoin. Oh, it's not good for the environment. But, you know, people don't understand is number one, the traditional banking system is way worse for the environment. Number two, I seen another stat the other day that, household appliances use significantly more energy than Bitcoin does, right? So again, this is just a massive myth, and I think the reality of what's going on right now is probably you've heard. I mean, look at Ray Dalio and a lot of these people, right? You have these countries that are doing this stuff. I think that the probable scenario here is that a lot of rich people and elites want to get into the space, but they're also greedy people and that they want to get in at a bargain price, which, so what do? They're going to drive the price down so they can get in, and once they're in, they're just going to allow it to go back up. Again, I don't know that for sure, but there's something else going on here when it comes to this big sell-off because at the end of the day, there's no reason for a big sell-off. Like Elon Musk shouldn't be able to cause Bitcoin to go down 20 or 30%, right? Like they're not that important. Like it shouldn't be that. There's no reason he should, even though he is well, him and I think Bezos kind of jump back and forth between the richest, quote unquote, the richest people in the world. Um, but again, like who cares? Like it's not like, people buying Teslas accounted for like 50% of, Bitcoin transactions. Like it wasn't even close. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. So if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Check out those links below. Follow me on those other platforms. If you want to donate, you could do that as well. Again, I would very much appreciate whatever support I can get. But like I say, check out those links and stay tuned for more.